What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some news concerning Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was recently interviewed on a MMA podcast, and he was basically lashing out and responding to Floyd Money Mayweather, and he was simply saying that Floyd is jealous of Canelo. Let Canelo live his time. Mayweather has had his time, and let Canelo, be who he was meant to be in the sport of boxing and have his accolades and success not tampered with or not hated on. And he also stated that Floyd ducked him in a rematch. And let me go ahead and counterpunch this. What I normally do if I hear of a source on another channel, I would just go to that source first. But this is really counterpunching what Boxing Ego had to say, because I heard it there, then I went to the source and I read I listened and watched the video Oscar De La Hoya had to say about the whole rebuttal. And, Ego wasn't too biased this time, not totally, until it comes to Floyd, because, he's a Floyd Mayweather fan. Cool. But because the argument with Floyd Money Mayweather being jealous, I think Floyd just doesn't like people. He doesn't like to share the spotlight with anyone. If anyone opposes him, especially if any guy that was in his weight class or around his weight class, he would have something to say about him. Look how he said about Adrian Broner. Look at what he did about Canelo. Triple G. If anybody that put a side-by-side comparison to Floyd, he does not like you. So don't get successful. Don't be successful. Don't do anything big because he will not like you. Ego was like, well, there's an argument there. He didn't really necessarily agree with him being jealous. He just said, yo, you have an argument, meaning I'm not going to go into it because I'm a Floyd Mayweather fan. But guess what? I'm a pretty boy Floyd Mayweather fan. I'm not a Floyd Money Mayweather fan, so I can go into it, and I will. Yes, he doesn't like to share the spotlight with anyone. I don't think he likes that idea. If anyone is compared to him, he does not like you. That's Floyd, okay? That's Floyd Money Mayweather. That's how he is. That's how he's always going to be. That's why he randomly comes back. It's really not anything different from what he was doing for the last 10 years, okay? Let's be real. Floyd has retired 3 times. Think about it. He retired after the Hatton fight. He retired after the Berto fight. Then he retired again after the McGregor fight. So that's 3 separate times. And even before he officially retired, he was already fighting. He was inactive for years at a time. 12, 13 months here, he wouldn't fight. You know what I mean? 9 months here, he wasn't fighting. He wasn't doing enough to stay active in the sport. I mean, he would make money, beat an opponent, then get the hell out of Dodge. That's what he does. That's how he's always been. So there's no secret to that. But as far as jealousy, yeah, I think he does get jelly because he does not want to be that guy not talked about. The idea of him or the idea of the public talking about someone else besides him makes him sick, I feel. You know what I mean? That's just Floyd. And that's who he is. You know what I'm saying? But, but as far as him ducking Oscar De La Hoya, this is where we clashed and had our differences, and differences of opinion. Ego said, well, it doesn't even make sense that Oscar said he avoided a year and 1 day when he fought Ricky Hatton after he fought Floyd Mayweather and then retired after that. So I don't know where he gets the 1 year and 1 day from. That is true. I do believe like Oscar De La Hoya was off with the 1 year and 1 day. It doesn't make sense because of how it is. However, Oscar De La Hoya was the A side in that negotiation. When he lost a razor sharp decision to Floyd Pretty Boy Floyd at the time, mind you, right? At the time, when he lost that decision, he had 1 year to make a date or to negotiate a date from fighting Oscar De La Hoya. So him fighting Ricky Hatton was the undefeated fighter. I think he was like 33-0 at the time. He did that to up the ante to get people to forget about the Oscar De La Hoya rematch. However, he still was in a binding contract to fight Oscar De La Hoya within a year. But what did he do? He retired after the Ricky Hatton fight. So he did that to avoid him. So it didn't matter if Oscar De La Hoya was off a year and a day or a year and another year or 2 years. He still was away from the sport a whole year. Now, him fighting Ricky Hatton did not breach that contract because he still had that time frame to make the Oscar De La Hoya fight, which he was bounded to do by contract. So he couldn't fight anyone else. He knew that. He couldn't fight anyone else. See, that wasn't an immediate rematch. Okay, that's the difference. The rematch clause wasn't immediate. He just had a year to make that fight, and he didn't. So yeah, he ducked that fight, or he avoided that fight. He did not want to fight Oscar De La Hoya again, and he didn't. Okay, just like I can't poke at him without poking at other fighters that done the same thing. Canelo, that's just like if Lara would have beat Canelo, which a lot of people thought Lara won, including Boxing Ego. Well, if Lara would have won, that's like Lara saying, you know what? And it was a rematch clause applied to that contract with Canelo, right? So if Canelo lost, mind you, if they would have granted him the win, because it was another split decision loss, right? I mean, it was a crazy 117-111 scorecard, right? That differentiated the win, right? But that's like Lara winning and saying, you know what? No, I'm going to fight someone else. And then, you know what? I'm going to retire until that contract date's up. Because the contract only lasts so long. And Oscar's contract only lasted so long to get the rematch for Floyd Money Mayweather. So it doesn't matter on the time. He waited past a year to make negotiations. That's why he was out of that binding contract. And you see, he didn't come back to the sport till after that date was over. So he is wrong. He's wrong and he's right at the same time. So it is a 50-50. Floyd did not want to fight De La Hoya again, but then he came back years later and said, hey, Oscar, you want to fight me now? Like, what the hell could Oscar offer you? The dude was on coke and he was on substance abuse. You know what I mean? Come on now. He wasn't going to go back and fight you then. You should have fought that man in 2007. And who's to say he wouldn't have beat that man? I just think Floyd didn't want that type of fight because he did not need it. He didn't need Oscar De La Hoya anymore. He knew that. He knew, okay, hey, I've broken the box office with this fight. What would I gain fighting you again? And it was a hard, tough fight. You know what I mean? What would that gain for me? And mind you, the reasons that I got to add this, Joshua and him are tight. They're companions because they have a lot in common. I'm going to tell you what, they're both the A side on all negotiations. Okay. And the reason why he doesn't have any beef and he doesn't have that same jealousy or envy towards AJ is because no one's compared AJ to Money Mayweather, because there's no way in hell they would ever fight. You see what I'm saying? So no, he doesn't care because he's in a different weight class. Just like Floyd had no problem with Roy Jones because he knew there was no way on this God green earth that he would ever fight Roy Jones Jr. because is just too different of a weight class. But Triple G, Canelo Alvarez, Manny Pacquiao, you name it, Adrian Broner, all these guys he had something to say about. He spit some type of negativity that he didn't need to say. That's something that either he could have kept to himself or at least kept away from the public's eye and knowledge, for it to just spread out there, So that's what I'm going to say about that. That's my counterpunch on that. You guys tell me what you think. I will leave the link in the description box so you guys can check out this interview. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.